Welcome. So in this video, we'll be answering this question, which says, consider the function, this right here, the inverse function is given by which of these? So we know that when we're finding the inverse function, what we're going to do is we're going to take what we've been given, so y equals negative 2x plus 4, and we're going to swap our x's and y's, and then we're going to rearrange to make y the subject. So that means I'm going to end up with x minus 4 over negative 2 is equal to y. And that means y is going to be equal to negative a half x plus 2. If I look at my answers here, I can see this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. These two are definitely out. So then the question is, what separates these three? And they all have different domains. So we now need to figure out what the domain of our inverse function is going to be. And to do that, what we're going to do is find the range of our original one. So let's go slowly. What is the domain of the original function? Well, we're given that it's going to be negative infinity to 2. What is the range of our original function going to be? To find this, it's probably helpful just to give this a little bit of a sketch. So if I were to do this, I would say it's negative 2x. So that means it's going to look something like that. And I'm going 4 up. So it's going to look something like that. So that's what I'm picturing in my head. And let me just draw this in a different color. It's going to look something like this. But then as you can see, I have a restricted domain from negative infinity to 2. So it's going to stop at some point. To find where it's going to stop, I'm just going to sub 2 into this. So what's negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So that means it's going to be here. It's going to be 2, 0. So it's going to look something like that. Perfect. And now looking at this, it's quite clear that my range is going to be 0 to infinity. And I'm going to be including 0. So 0 to infinity. Wow. What is that? Infinity. Now, what we can do is we can find the inverse. So we can say, what is the domain of the inverse? Well, it's simply going to be the range of the function. So it's going to be 0 to infinity. And then for completeness sake, we could also find the range of the inverse, which is just going to be the domain of the function, which is negative infinity to 2. Oh, and make sure you've got the right bracket there. That should be like this. So that means, after all of that, we only really care about this. It means C is going to be my answer, because this is the domain of my inverse, and that's it. That's how you would do it. You might be asking yourself, is there a way to do this on the CAS? There is a way you could do this on the CAS. I don't know if it would be necessarily better than the way that we've done it here, but let me just run you through how you could approach this using your CAS calculator. Whoopsie daisy. Give me a second. Whoops. Everything's kind of freaking out here. All right, so if you were to do this on the CAS, what you would do is you'd come here and you could just type in what you're originally being given. You could go y is equal to negative 2x plus 4. If you wanted to find what the inverse is, there is a way you could do it on the CAS. It isn't the most elegant way, but this is how you could do it. Sometimes this way isn't the best way, but let me just show you. If you just went menu, algebra, solve, and then went x is equal to negative 2y plus 4. And we're going to solve that for y. So hopefully you can see what we've done here. I have simply swapped my x and y's with each other. And now I'm saying solve it for y. And this is what we found here. So negative a half x plus 2. So that's the way you could do it using that way. Again, this isn't the most eloquent way to do it, but it does work most of the time. Now, this doesn't help us in finding what our domain and range is. If we wanted to find our domain and range, what we would have to do is we would take this, and I could go control this, that. Now, this right here is telling me that my x is going to be less than or equal to 2. So I could come here, less than or equal to 2, hit enter. Actually, I want to take this now, control C, and I'm going to graph it. At graph, control V, enter. As you can see, this is what we found over here. So then from this, you could identify what your range is going to be, 0 to infinity, and then you could say C is your answer. So 2 steps. First, you found that. Then you kind of drew your original function to find what the range is, to find what the domain of the inverse is going to be. That's how you'd use your CAS to do it. I don't know necessarily whether using your CAS is wise for this one. I think doing it by hand is perfectly fine. I don't know how much of an advantage you get from using your CAS for this specific question. Okay, with that being said, I'll let you go, and I'll see you in the next one.